Hey guys, so we have special guests doing our match here. We have Johnny and James, both in the black and yellow gi to make it confusing, but James has the shorter hair and Johnny's on top right now. Starts with a beautiful flying X guard, just crashed right into James. A little sensitive there, but James is able to get on top and secure a pretty awesome position. So. Just to look at that little pass here, like there's some really good stuff actually. So right there, Johnny has him in headquarters, has that leg stuffed, quickly does a little X pass, drops on the hard carpet there, no padding whatsoever, but no padding for James either. And then while Johnny's being very, very nice, James snags up an armbar and then switches here to a pretty sick triangle, an inverted triangle, right into a Kimura, and Johnny's in a bad spot because of that. So James has the arm totally isolated here, Kimura locked up, and so he gets to have the option of either choking Johnny or trying to break the grip and attacking. It's really hard for Johnny to defend because his right arm, the bottom arm, which you'd usually be trying to grab the wrist, is completely isolated by James's leg. So James has the grips that he wants. Johnny's taking a bicep grip, doing the best that he can, and he's also protecting the choke a little bit by holding his head. He's trying to bridge, which is about the only thing you could do. Like, again, I'd probably be done here. I'll mention that several times. These guys don't really tap out very often, so I would be tapping for my safety well before. So really miserable position. James switched grips. I thought he was going to switch to the armbar, and then here you can see Johnny taking a grip on his own sleeve to help defend that a little bit, and James has him in a bad spot. But Johnny was able to get a good bridge and flip him over, and then here notice that foot position right on the hip. That's going to allow James to get a ton of power on this Kimura and actually rip that out. So right there, I would be tapping. That would be me tapping, and we'd restart. But Johnny doesn't tap, so he goes right into the armbar and then right into Professor Will's torture chamber. So just that transition was really cool there. So let's look at that again. So foot on the hip, he's going to rip this out. This is going to tap out 99% of people. Johnny flips out, and then see how he swung the leg off the head and underneath, and then that's baiting. I mean, it's not even baiting, but he got Johnny to come up there, and then he's going to lock up this torture chamber a la Professor Forbes. So now he's got sort of a choke, crank, armbar, all where he wants them, and Johnny's doing his best. And see how those legs are crossed? That makes it tough to defend by locking your hands. So really dominant situation here. James is pulling on the forearm, trying to bring those elbows together like we always want to be doing. And then here you see him, just like we do when we're on the top of mount, he's trying to feed that arm over to uncross the arm. So that was a good idea as well. And at this point, the leg comes off the back of the head, so now he's not he's more in just a normal armbar position, but the feet are crossed in front of that arm. So he's got a really good chance of breaking that grip right now and getting the armbar. But Johnny's able to get out. He's able to explode and get on top here. So Johnny's on top, does another little back step to clear the hook, and James is able to get the sweep. So would have been nice for Johnny to establish that position since he was just in like dire straits for like a minute there. But Johnny's awesome in the guard, so we'll see him get to play his guard here a little bit. So foot on the hip. We worked a lot about putting people on stretch here. He had that the grip. You can see him adjust this grip. So I think before, this was a great grip. This cross collar grip was awesome to have for like a loop choke. And if you wanted to go for that, when he sets a little bit deeper, he's probably thinking collar drag at that point. Shoots a little bit of a triangle, and James is able to get into a really good double under passing situation. So I think James took good advantage of that restart and gets super deep, like Man, gets that cross collar just how he wants him there, and in the center of the ring. So here, like, Johnny's going to be trying to get that knee down and vertical like that, so he could slip that knee right inside his elbow to regard. And James is doing his best not to let that happen. And James is going to be switching his hands both on the same side. You see it a lot with the lighter weights, the Mendez brothers, and the double underpass usually works a little differently when you're under a certain weight class, so it ends up almost a little bit more of a leg drag. But he was able to get out. Now they're more in a cross knee pass situation, knee shield, and Johnny's trying to control that far arm so that that's usually James's preferred side to pass, is to pass this direction. So that's a good idea, right, to help control. So that's all like getting elegant, getting those shoulders back. If James has a good grip on the collar, has a weave pass, if James is able to get his head close, that's going to really secure that, a great passing situation. So Johnny's doing a good job of getting those shoulders back. Gets the foot on the hip there. Just everything you got to be doing there. So that's sort of the battle, right? Is just stepping over that foot again, and then Johnny's able to work himself out into an open guard situation. Bit of a reset. I think Johnny does a good job, having a good reset that time, and is able to get some of his guard going here. So keeping his head down, keeping that posture, that's going to slow James down the more he can keep his head down. So he's working that collar grip. He's playing a little bit of double sleeve there, and James makes a good move to get him down to turtle. So, and this is where James has a lot of good attacks. It's one of the scary. He's got a really good Darce Anaconda series guillotine. So Johnny did a good job jumping over and getting to this position, and he's able to secure really nice position. So just to go through that little sequence. Oh, I forgot about that little guillotine attempt. So here, I would say like Johnny's at a little bit of advantage, and James doing a good job. And even here, heads down, like he's working on the posture. As he switches to this second grip, when his right hand moves off the collar here, he doesn't have as much control of James's posture. So James, and Johnny's sitting up. So usually if you're going to play double sleeve, it's going to be hard to do that from a sit-up position. So all of a sudden James gets mobile on him, a little bit of a step, almost like a headquarter cross knee, and then just backs that foot right out, starts running around the outside to get a step on him. He doesn't even pass the guard. Johnny's able to turtle, but this is where creating that scramble that is going to happen, and this is where James sets up a lot of his finishes is from the front of turtle. So he attacks a bit here, and then he goes for like a guillotine, but let's see that again. He's able to step around and get on top. Survives the choke attempt. At this point, he could be trying to hook that arm with his leg to try to get a better Anaconda finish, but actually I might have been wrong on that. I think it's the other arm strap, but Johnny's able to spin on top. And then here, Johnny's on top, so he's reversed the position. I'd like, like anytime you're in those bad situations and you survive, sometimes like just stay on top for a little bit longer and, put that other guy under pressure. And James is able to get back into his passing situation, a quick bullfighter pass, and then Johnny is getting on top, but because of the attack, he has to go back to his back, and now he's in that reverse triangle situation. So, but Johnny's doing a good job trying to stay on top here. If you're in this position, like with Eric or some of the other guys, George will use this type of situation. So try to stay on top, and it's going to make it better to survive. So he's able to get out and then ends up on bottom. So almost like a back take situation, and then they're going to get out here, I believe. So he almost has like a halfway between a three-quarter mount and a back take. So big advantage to James here. Looking for a choke from the back now. And this is another position James really thrives from, is that half guard with the head wrap. He sets up a lot of Ezekiel chokes, so Johnny's doing a good job getting his knee there. You'll see how like here is three-quarter mount. Johnny's able to turn into him, and then he's able to frame and get his right knee inserted here in a second. It's a big part of the game. And then Johnny's able to get a gi wrapped up, and so he uses the lapel and then switches it. So that's a nice choice. So I want to take some time in this position to sort of explain some options. So he has his head buried to the outside here, and his right arm, James's right arm's to the outside. So what James could be doing is stuffing that leg and forcing in a screama position, like a low cross knee pass. But now it's going to be hard because of that. Like, and I'm impressed. You know, like usually I see these guys both go for a lot of the baseball bat choke, even from with the lapel grip. But I like to see this change. I think this is a stronger position, and so it's fun to see them play with it a little bit here. So, and he's getting even more pressure by sitting up. So we'll go over some of the options, omoplata options, triangle options, things like that. But right now I'd say this is advantage Johnny because of the way the grip is. So he's looking for some choke options there, trying to get like a cross choke, I believe. Trying to push his head. But you can see that right arm wrapped around the leg and the hip, and then James is able to get out of it, and then James is trying to work into his double underpass because then you can avoid a lot of the tricks of the guard. So, and here you see we're in like a double under situation. He's still got, and he had that lapel grip, and he ends up locking up this no arm triangle, which in kids jiu-jitsu is a big issue because this is a 10-minute match, but usually there's not a lot of time in the matches. So like even if you can't finish from here, a lot of times you can threaten. Johnny goes belly down and gets a huge reaction out of that. Almost is able to come up here on top, but if you can't get your head out in 3 minutes there, that's going to be a big advantage, in terms of a ref deciding this match. It's a bit of a slam, especially on this is not a sprung floor. That's just a nice looking carpet there. You can see the thickness of these other pads that aren't getting used at all are off to the side and much thicker than that carpet. So, so Johnny keeps on bellying down. Usually we don't like to see belly down on triangle. I'm not sure on the no arm triangle, honestly, but he got a good reaction out of it the first time. So now he's playing with an underhook, foot on the hip. So almost gets a tripod. Oh, he does get the tripod sweep. So nice job on that tripod sweep. And then here, I'm liking to see Johnny stay on top, but it's ending up in the closed guard is going to be a big advantage to James. So if he could have just stayed in the butterfly, that'd have been better. And that was sick. So, man, really going for that inverted arm bar there. So that was one of my favorite moves, actually, of this whole thing. So what happens here? Johnny is stuck in this closed guard, and he's going to use, see how he uses that lapel, a masapao, like a sort of a style of bread cutter where you drive the lapel across the guy's neck, usually trying to bait him into an arm bar, like a traditional closed guard arm bar, or like a triangle attempt or something. But James is able to slap it off, and you can see this underhook come in right away, and then again he gets that elbow to elbow pressure, and man, he's got a good shot of this. Usually got to get some type of separation, so a foot on the hip and some type of like pressure on that shoulder is going to be a little bit closer. But again, like that head, I would probably be tapping. That was really tight, but because he doesn't have the shoulder pressure, Johnny's able to square up and rotate his arm out of it. So working that cross grip, looking for like an overhook grip, switches nicely, and ends up in a sick triangle situation. Let's look at that setup again. That was beautiful. So he has a cross grip, and then he has like a figure four grip to break the grip right there. So he breaks the grip. So now he'd be threatening to cross the arm this way. So this is where all the attention has to be, right? Because if he's able to cross that arm, then he's going to get a good back take, flower sweep, all that stuff. And then instead of doing that, he decides to switch under. So he brings that left arm under, so instead of going for the back take, he's going to start setting up an overhook, which you could use for the omoplatas, other triangle setups. And then all of a sudden he changes, so he was threatening that overhook. Johnny was defending that, and then he switches, so he grabs this arm instead and jumps over and ends up in a sick triangle omoplata. So yeah, a lot of nuance there. So now we're in a good triangle situation. Johnny's defending by wrapping this arm on the outside. So usually we want that arm crossed the other side, and here, usually you're going to be finishing either with some fist in the throat, or just a good squeeze can sometimes finish it harder. With kids, just the shoulder muscles and neck sort of proportions aren't always there to just squeeze on a triangle like that. And so a lot of times you got to go either to an inverted triangle where he'd switch his lock, and this right leg would sort of get pointed more towards the right foot would get more towards the ceiling. That was actually the other thing you could be doing, is threatening the sweep, right? So if you can threaten the sweep, you're basically making Johnny make a tough decision, right? Do I want to post or do I want to get swept? So Johnny takes his arm out to prevent the triangle from out, which would probably be game over. And then James is able to attack the arm. So Johnny was able to not only come back on top, but he was able to get his arm back sort of to that omoplata side, but James is able to lock up a bit better grip, so he's looking for a Kimura attack here. And so you see how inverted James is right now with his hips above his head. That's actually a good situation. If he wants to switch for this inverted triangle, he would keep this leg vertical pointing at the ceiling and put that foot under the other knee, so the triangle would switch. But we haven't gone over that inverted triangle as much. So you can see that triangle getting a little bit weaker there. Johnny's been in this for a while there, so and he's pulling on that elbow. That could set up the omoplata, that could set up the Kimura. But Johnny's starting to get his head up a little bit more, starting to defend it a little bit better. Johnny's fixing it, or James fixed it, got his head down again, breaking the posture. But that's just always going to be a fight there. Guy on top's trying to get his head up, trying to get his, and that was a nice move to sort of, if you can bring your arm back, sometimes that can really help get that triangle. And there's time. So unbelievable match. I watched this one time through already and was like yelling at my phone. So just wanted to take it back to where we had that this position here. So this was one of the more interesting sequences where he has, it's like a half butterfly guard, but he has the lapel, almost like a Bravo choke there going on. So I just want to go through some options for what Johnny could have done from here, and then also when he gets this no arm triangle, so and how he could have done some things differently from there. So one of the things you can think about doing is playing like a rubber guard with the lapel. So this is something that Keenan's known for, is where he's able to get that foot wrapped up underneath that lapel. And obviously Johnny was working with this foot being trapped, but that's a really hard situation to get out of. So going back here, one of the things he could do is he could start feeding this lapel over that foot, and then that would be set up nicely for that omoplata on James's right arm there. Another thing he could think about would be to try to get space by putting that foot actually in the lapel. So again, this is from closed guard, but you can do the same thing from that half butterfly. So you can see Braulio here put the foot in the lapel. So the other one was it was threaded all the way through. This one's just going to step on the lapel, and then from there he can get elevation. And I actually got hit with that at Worlds by Braulio's brother one year. I knew that Braulio did it, but I forgot that his brother might know it too. So that's another way that he could set up and get his foot free. So if backing it up just a little bit, if he was able to feed that foot into the lapel and lift with this leg, then he would probably be able to free that foot and either get back to closed guard or probably all the way to a triangle attempt. But James did a really good job, getting out of this situation and then getting to a double underhooks, right? But then he ends up in this. So here he's playing double underhooks, and then Johnny threatens a bit of a no arm triangle. So there's no arms in that triangle. So one arm's over here and one arm's over there. So this is really tight on the head, super uncomfortable. But there are a couple ways to to finish this, actually. So the most famous one is probably the Homolo Bahal triangle, and man, I might have to pull that up after. I really just closed that tab. Anyway, Homolo Bahal puts his hand in the neck, and then closes the triangle around it. I'll have to put that in the description of one of them, and like when I post this on Facebook, I'll add that one in. And he tapped out Bernardo Faria, and they have a little YouTube describing it. But that was a big win for Homolo. I forget what year. Somewhere between 2010 and probably 2012 or something like that. So we ended up tapping out Bernardo Faria, who's bigger and a great guard passer and great from the double underhook situation. And then something new is Braulio Estima doing. See how he has that Bravo grip that Johnny had, that you can actually finish people by just having the pressure of the lapel to pull that shoulder in and everything. And even though the guy thinks he can pass there, he's basically saying, no, I'm going to get choked out. So he doesn't even have to lock up the triangle as deep as Johnny had it. So those are some options. So two from the Bravo half butterfly, and then two from that no arm triangle. But I will get you that no arm triangle as a YouTube there. So unbelievable match. And obviously those two kids are studs there. They win everything around. So really proud of them, and thanks again for them putting on that show for us there.